Welcome to another This Week in Coworking discussion.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the This Week in Coworking podcast feed. I am your host, Hector Kolonas, and today I am joined by Kayla Gottschalk. Kayla, how are you?
Doing well. How are you, Hector?
Not too bad, not too bad. Well, we had a chat a year and a bit ago around a campfire, I believe, about how you think about launching spaces. So we're going to dive into that a little bit today. It's taken some time to get you here, but you've been busy since then. So folks who are listening in, Kayla is newish to the co-working industry. And I'm saying that and showing my gray hairs. You've been in co-working for about 3 years, mostly focused on building out spaces and bringing them to market for a brand that has kind of taken a bit of the co-working world by storm. So tell us, Kayla, what do you do and where and how?
Yeah, of course. So I'm based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And just like you mentioned, I'm pretty new to the co-working industry, but joined a really innovative company called Switchyards, really leading their launches. So what that means is, working internally with the design team, we have in-house builders to do a lot of that work in-house versus always outsourcing to make sure that we're getting that special sauce. And I think to date, I've built out and refreshed about 28 locations since joining them the past 2 years.
Wow. That's impressive. And it's been 28 locations, 3 years, and almost all of them launched to kind of set out campaigns. So absolutely exciting to be a part of that. You obviously have only been in co-working for 3 years, and you didn't wake up one day as a kid saying, I want to be in co-working when I grow up. What did you do before you came into co-working?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I'm a big advocate for fellow facility managers, skilled workers, or designers or artists in the industry who don't know really where to go or how to start, and would love to tell you about my journeys. So hopefully that can help influence those people, because I really think that they bring so much value. And that reflects especially my time at Switchyards with, focusing on the space, how the physical space makes really human-centered moments and experiences that in today's world, we're sort of losing that with how people are envisioning, I guess, the future of work in some ways.
That is really interesting. And I think there's so much to be said about people building careers in co-working. So someone who's kind of come into it fairly recently, what inspired you to join this weird world of co-working? What was that one thing that you were like, I can get involved with this?
So I think there was a bunch of different events throughout my career that really led me to this. And I think in parallel, co-working was formed right at the same time, and it just both emerged at a pretty good intersection, as timing does with everyone in their lives. But it really started out with a focus on facility management, how to maintain buildings, went into the furniture world. And I think there, leading space transformations and just being around furniture and how users interact with the furniture really clicked. So that was a very incremental moment for me of just the physical space and how people use it and what they need to work. From there, I worked at a large corporation leading workplace through COVID and adopting a new workplace strategy of a sense of hybrid, which also was I think a big incremental point as well. And then took a step back from corporate, did my own thing with Omar Ramirez, sort of in the workplace world of bringing better information, resources, connecting people, and then actually taking the time to hear what other friction points existed. And at that time, in 2023, everyone was trying to optimize their real estate portfolio. Everyone was navigating their workplace strategy. And so hearing firsthand and navigating, our fellow colleagues through that was another big point. And so, being in Atlanta and Switchyards being a very forefront company, they created a position for me to have me join and really have me dive into co-working space, flexible space, third place.
It's just so fascinating kind of seeing you spotting the trends in different parts of your life and being like, well, this checks that box. But you did mention a term, third space. And Switchyards is very heavily leaning on the fact that they're not co-working. They are more of a third space, they're more of a members club, more of a community. What is your feelings personally on this idea of third spaces or third places? And are they co-working spaces?
Yeah, my perspective on third places is what you just said. It could mean a bunch of different things for different people. I do think it is a space that's not your work, not your home, which are the two primarily locations that everyone spends their time in. It's just a space for you. Your third place could be your gym. Your third place could be maybe the bar, maybe not. But what was different for Switchyards, building out these neighborhood work clubs, is sort of creating like a niche in the formal co-working term. But it is, people do see it as a third place for now because it's just not recognized as a traditional co-working space, with replacing the office versus being a member-based, consumer-based product.
Yeah. So a lot goes into building a space like that out that's different from a co-working space that needs offices, meeting rooms. Given that you were in charge of launching and building out 20 something locations, what is it that you looked for to make this kind of community pop, right?
I think the best way to explain this is meeting Michael Tavani, the founder and CEO, for a coffee chat before joining. He told me to meet him at one of the Buckhead work clubs. And so entering the space, it's hard to describe it, but it's a sense of feeling. It's everything that people sometimes don't recognize when walking into a space. It's not just design, the furnishings, but it's the lighting levels, it's the moodiness, it's the smells of good coffee, the music that makes you feel more at home. And so kind of bridging all of those elements together is something that really intrigued me, and it is something that I think is a huge differentiator building out spaces, whether in co-working or anywhere else.
So obviously you were there from before day one, right? Picking the space, figuring out, will this work for the concept? Is there anything in particular that was on your list, like this will make this space not work, or this will make this space really work so that it does feel homey, it does feel hospitable, all those things you just said? Like, what are you looking for in the bare bone space before it became a Switchyards?
Yeah, and I will say I won't take credit for that. I did work with the COO, Brooks Buffington, who had a really good eye with no formal background in real estate, which sort of punk rock and interesting. But I think the most interesting concept there is not being so rigid with a scorecard of how to select a space. A few of our elements are very simple of, does it have HVAC? Does it have restrooms? And that we will transform, or see the beauty in spaces that people don't want. And I know other companies do that as well for adaptive reuse, and there's a lot of sustainability initiatives. But yeah, it's mainly just literally envisioning any type of space and just making it better because we believe in it and focus on design.
So talk me through like an average launch. When do you get involved? What is your favorite part about that process? And what is the average time it used to take you to launch a space from you got the keys to now people can move in?
Yeah, so I'm typically involved in the real estate transaction side. So pre-construction phase, typically known for that. And then it's once a lease is signed and we have our commencement date, it's sort of just a go, go, go. One of the best experiences I've learned at Switchyards so far is thinking out of the box. And I'm sure you and other folks in the industry have noticed how fast we've opened and launched locations. And I guess all I'll say without sharing too much, and happy to, connect with you guys separately, is we've launched spaces so quickly, it's abnormally fast to how you would think build out should be. And it's just having that punk rock or open mindset of just doing things differently, keeping things pretty simple, and taking the consideration of not always having to outsource, but bringing that more in-house, to go faster,
Yep.
do things more cost effective, and then doing it your own way. So not, losing that sense of design or vision for that space.
That's such a good way to look at it. And I'm a bit upset you're not going to share all your company's secrets and knowledge with us on this public forum. But I totally think people should reach out to you and connect if they want to learn more about the actual nitty gritty of making the space work. When it comes down to furniture, are you guys, I know you said you have builders on the team. Are they building out furniture, or are you ordering furniture? Are you reusing furniture? What did you do at Switchyards, and what is your personal preference, given that this is what you think about quite often?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So we'll take, we do have things we'd like to do in-house, again, for the speed, the cost, and just more control of it. We do have really great partnerships with local mill workers, vendors who are willing to work with us, more ma and pop shops that we'd love to support, or are friends of ours in the network. Yeah, I think there should always be a balance. Like for scalability, I'm a big fan of outsourcing where needed and just kind of looking at a holistic, maybe like an annual cost saving strategic partnership. But then keeping a few key things that are very important to you, or if there's a couple special furniture pieces or elements, keep it in house, and that way you've got those special touches that you'll never lose.
That's amazing. So you've been in this industry that we call home for 3 years now. What was your current perspective on how co-working and spaces like Switchyards fit into the future of work?
Yeah, my perception of co-working, probably when I worked at the large corporation, was it's just a niche thing. Like, not sure if it's going to survive. Like, we don't really know what it is. We all knew WeWork and Now Industrious. Like, it's just a bunch of desks laid out in the floor plan, and, that's that. But obviously, since, probably 2020 and now, 6 years later, and me being in the space, it's so much more. And I mean, I just saw a Wall Street Journal, I think recently, saying how there's a higher demand for co-working. And it's not just a bunch of desks. It could mean different things. And we kind of mentioned third places. It can evolve to a Switchyards creating a certain type of third space. It could be, I've heard of the Malin out there that's creating beautifully designed spaces in larger cities.
I mean, the way I see it is it's an amalgamation of different types of community spaces, which will all become part of an individual's ecosystem of workspaces. There are times where I will want that social cafe or third place. And there's times I want to just put my headphones on, and then there's times I want to work from home, and then there's times I have to go work somewhere because I have to drop a kid off at daycare or whatever it is. And that's going to change how I interact with physical spaces. So it's really interesting to kind of hear that co-working changed in your perspective from when you were outside the industry to where you are now. If I had to ask you to make a prediction for the next 3 years, what do you think co-working or third places are going to look like 3 years from now?
Yeah, I think co-working will continue to evolve. It's not going anywhere. I think it'll continue to be seen as not a space for entrepreneurs or creatives just to go to. There's more of my workplace professional colleagues using that as part of their real estate portfolio and using more flex space to, hone in on lesser amounts of offices, but doing them better. And then obviously optimizing all of the existing locations throughout the US. I think co-working will just continue to evolve. I could see it being more different types of businesses focusing on that niche of what you just said, whether it is mainly event, community based. Maybe there's a niche co-working company that's focused on wellness or well-being, or it could be just like a Switchyards, creating these internet work cafes and work clubs to kind of bridge community and get some good coffee and heads down focus work, any time of the day.
I mean, that's a lovely future that I definitely want to be a part of, and we'll definitely all keep striving towards that. But let's bring it back to you, Kayla. What are you working on now? What's next for you? Where else can we expect to see you and your work popping up in the newsletter and in real life?
Yeah, so have spent again the past 2 years at Switchyards. I am looking for my next adventure or two. Would still love to help continue building within the co-working space, but definitely want to still be involved within the built environment. My whole philosophy is always making work in places better. And I'd love to start helping other companies have that option to do so. Utilizing my experiencing, trying to make things faster, more cost efficient, and just better for everyone.
That's lovely. And where's the best place on the internet for people to contact you? Have you got a website? Should they find you on social media? How can people connect with you, Kayla?
Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I also have a personal website called Cobuilt, www.cobuilt.io.
Great. I'll put that in the show notes as well for everyone to reach out to. I want to take you back to one of the first things you said before we kind of sign out for today, and that was, what advice would you give to folks who are not in co-working now, are in one of the more corporate roles, and are interested in the co-working industry? What advice would you give them about building a career in the co-working industry?
Yeah, my advice would be to reach out to those affiliations, GWA. Obviously, Hector, you've got your nice weekly co-working email, This Week in Coworking, and really just start networking with folks in the industry. I mean, you guys have welcomed me with open arms, and I'm here today, so don't be afraid to reach out to your network and to learn more.
Is there anything that you were surprised about by moving into the co-working industry that maybe is very different in corporate, but in co-working was like, yeah, that's how everyone does it here?
I think I just wasn't aware of how large the industry is, and it's here to stay. Again, it's not going to be gone in the next few years, or it's not just like some trendy workplace strategy thing to do. It's here to stay, and you guys are pretty cool. So you guys like to have a lot of fun. So that's a positive.
You're pretty cool, Kayla. Thank you very much for joining us on the podcast. I'm going to drop all your links in the show notes, but thanks again for being in co-working for 3 years. We hope you're here for the next 3 years at least. I cannot wait to see you again in person at the next gathering that we all go to.
Awesome. Thanks so much.